Welcome to the Ultimate Beginner Quilt Series by Fat Quarter Shop. In this series, I'm going to be showing you how to make a quilt all the way from the start to the finish. This series is sponsored by Moda Fabrics and EverSewn sewing machines. I'm going to be giving you lots of tips, and we're going to be building our first quilt together. Hi, I'm Kimberly from the Fat Quarter Shop. Welcome to our Ultimate Beginner Quilt Series. In this series, I'm going to show you how you make a quilt all the way from the very beginning to the very end. So if you have never made a quilt before, I have you covered. In today's video, we're going to be showing you how to work with a beginner sewing machine. And today we are working with the EverSewn Sparrow 30. All these tips will work on any sewing machine. If you have any questions on the specific machine you're using, refer to your sewing machine manual or contact your dealer directly. So we're going to just talk about the basics of a sewing machine in this video. So to start with your sewing machine, you're going to plug it in. Your plug is generally going to have two prongs, and you will just find it. It's usually on the right side of your machine. You also have a pedal. When you press it, this makes your machine start and stop. You will plug that in, and that is also usually on the right side of your machine. On the side of your machine, this is a hand crank that will make your sewing machine needle go up and down. So at the very top right of your machine will be a bobbin winder. It will go in and out, and this is where you will wind your bobbin, and we will be covering that in a little bit. Your sewing machine should have two spool holders. One is vertical and one is horizontal. The one that is vertical that goes up and down is meant for spool that is wound straight. You can see that in this spool. So if you were using this spool, it would go on top. If you're using a thread that is wound crisscross, just like Aurifil, you will be using this spool holder. And you would use these little spool ends on the very end to hold this in place. This one does not need one. And if you have a large spool, you will use a large end cap. If you were using a smaller spool, you would use a smaller end cap. At the very top of your machine, there should be a tension setting. I would start by using what setting it comes with. And then if you're stitching and your stitches are too tight or too loose, you will want to move this either to the left or the right to make it looser or tighter. If you're not sure where to start, you go to the very maximum on your machine and divide by 2. This machine is a 9, so we're going to move that and start with a 4.5. At the top, this little section is for winding your bobbin, which we will show in a little bit. And these other sections right here are for threading, and we will go over that in a second. This is the throat of your machine, and this is a plate that is put on top. These are your feed dogs. You will leave those in the upright position while we are piecing. Later, when we free motion to put all 3 layers of our quilt sandwich together, we will lower them. This is where your bobbin goes in your machine. Sometimes your bobbin is on the top flat, sometimes it's on the top front, and sometimes it's on the side. All machines are different, and all bobbins are placed in differently in each machine. The thread at the top of your machine is what will go on the top of your fabric. The thread on your bobbin is what is going to be on the bottom of your fabric. Some bobbins will be plastic and some bobbins will be metal. Refer to your sewing machine manual to know which type of bobbin to use in your machine. Let's talk about sewing machine feet. On this machine, it has a little contraption that will snap on and off the feet. So you pull up, go down, and it snaps on. To take it off, you just hit the back. Some machines have feet that this entire section will come off and go back on. Each machine is different. This is our 1/4 inch foot where you're going to use the side to sew a 1/4 inch seam, and we'll cover that in block 1. This is a foot that is an open toe foot that we will use when doing half square triangles and flying geese, and we'll cover that while we're making those. So these are the 2 feet you need to start when we start our Ultimate Beginner series. Later on, when we're quilting, you can use either a walking foot or a darning foot. A walking foot will be used when you're quilting all of your 3 sandwiches together of your quilt to do straight lines, and a darning foot is if you want to do free motion and movement within your quilt. But to start, you really only need these 2 feet, and they usually come with your sewing machine. So I'm going to put my 1/4 inch foot on first, and then we're going to put a needle in. We're using 80-12 universal needles. Pull 1 needle out. On your needle there will be a round side and a flat side. Most machines you put the flat side to the back, but some machines it goes to the side. So we're going to just put this needle, push it up. It should fit right in, and we're going to screw this by hand closed. Sometimes you will need a screwdriver, but this machine is great because you can just do it by hand. So you just put your sewing machine needle in. You'll want to change your needle between each project or every 8 hours. This is the speed of your machine. If you're a beginner, you'll want to start on the slowest setting. As you build your confidence, you can move up so the left side is slow and the right side is fast. So we're going to turn our machine on, and this setting is our stitch length. Right now it is at 2.5. I'm going to move it to 2.0. I like to stitch with a 1.8 or a 2.0 stitch. And you can go up, you can go down, and you can use what you prefer. But we will be stitching with a 2.0 mostly. So the stitch length is the length of your stitches. So if you have a small length, you're going to have more stitches. If you have a long stitch, you're going to have longer stitches. The bigger you stitch, the weaker your stitches are, and I find that 2.0 or 1.8 work perfectly for general quilting. At the top of this machine is a needle up or needle down. If you click it, all of your stitches will start and stop in the down position. If you click it up, when you start and stop, your needle will stop in the up position. This is a tacking stitch, which puts a tack in the very beginning of your stitching. We will not be using that for quilting. This is a back stitch, so you can back stitch as you're stitching to secure it in place. We will not be using that in quilting. This is an automatic thread cutter, and if you don't want to use that, there should be a thread cutter on the left side of your machine also. So some machines come with a machine bed. This one comes on and off, and it just snaps in. And some machines come with it and some don't. I really like to have a bed when I'm stitching because it keeps everything nice and flat before the fabric gets to your foot. So now we're going to start actually working with our machine, and the first thing we're going to do is wind our bobbin. So I'm going to put an empty bobbin to the top. Most machines will have a guide on how to wind your bobbin. So this one you're going to snap in this very metal. You want to make sure you hear it click. Pull it around this edge, make sure it's nice and tight. So when you pull, it comes through. You want to take your bobbin, and there should be a little hole on the top. Pull it through the top hole. Place it on your bobbin winder. Push it to the side, and then we need to push on the pedal of our machine to wind the bobbin. So we're just going to do that, and this will just come off. When it's done winding, it will just stop. You will pop it back to the left, and cut. Your thread should be nice, even, and tight on your bobbin. If it is too loose, it will not work good on your machine. Now we're going to place this bobbin in our bobbin case. This is where all machines are very different, and so you definitely want to refer to your manual. This one is telling me right here to place my bobbin in this direction. Some bobbins go in the machine this direction, so you'll need to refer to your manual. So I'm going to place my bobbin in and follow this diagram. Pull it around, around, and pull it down. And this is a thread cutter. And then you just place your bobbin case back on. So to thread your machine, first you'll go through the very top, this back item. These are always the same. You're going to go down, follow your arrows, back up. You'll want to go through this top, so you want to have that raised at the very top. Pull that through, go down, go behind this little part, and then there will be another part right above the needle that you'll want to go through that helps keep your thread in place, and it makes it where it won't come out as easy. Then I like to snip my thread, put my foot down, thread the needle. Sometimes I'll put my finger behind it so I can see. And if it's not going through, just recut. And then you'll want to bring your thread up from your bobbin, so you'll turn your hand crank, pull the thread up, and that will bring your bobbin thread up through the bottom. Now let's say you're sewing and you need to cut your thread at some point and pull it out. You should always pull your thread from the bottom out instead of through the top. That will keep your tension working better on your machine as your machine ages. We're going to test our 1/4 inch seam. So I have 2 squares that are 2 1/4 inches. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam. So I put together 2 squares that are 2 1/4 inches. So this should measure 4 inches across. I'm going to use the ruler that comes in my Notion kit, and it is exactly 4 inches. So I have an accurate 1/4 inch seam, so we are ready to work on block 1. I hope my sewing machine tips have helped you build confidence on using a sewing machine. I would love for you to join me next week, and we're gonna go through all the tips on making block 1. I'm gonna have tips on using your machine, ironing, pressing, everything you need so that you can make block 1. So subscribe to the Fat Quarter Shop YouTube channel, and I'll see you next week.